Let's bring in Fox News contributor and former Utah Congressman Jason Chaffetz and Breitbart economics and finance editor John Carney. Gentlemen, terrific to see you. I was just blown away by Scott Besson's performance. Jason, there is so much to be done. And he not only has a grasp of our place in the world, he has a grasp of the perilous financial situation that Biden has gotten us into.
Yeah, they're given a master class on how to testify before the Senate. You do that, you look at what he did, you look at what Pete Hegseth did, you look at Pam Bondi, and you come to realize that Donald Trump has done an exceptional job picking his cabinet. It'd be very difficult for the Democrats to make any case against voting against any of them. They're professionals. They know the content, and they're there to support the president, making America great again. And the president has a mandate, and these are the people that are going to implement it.
You know, John, Scott Besson, successful billionaire, earned it. Capital markets. He understands the economy. He's had to work with numerous types of funds. This is the guy I want in charge of the economy, somebody who actually spends his day job making it work for his clients.
Look, I'm calling him Scott Unshakable Besson. This guy has never testified in front of Congress. He was a businessman, not a public figure. And there he stood with all of the senators coming at him, and he was able to answer. It was a master class in the economy. He was able to explain why we need tariffs, why the tax cuts are absolutely necessary, why we need energy abundance. This was amazing. You would think this guy had spent his entire life in the public eye, and instead, this is really the public's introduction to him. And I think the public probably fell in love with Scott Unshakable Besson.
Before we go, I just love to see a brilliant gentleman hand a jerk his hat, as my mother would say. And that's what we got to see over and over again. And one thing that Besson knows is that Janet Yellen took our debt short term, and that we, in the next 3 years, more than half the outstanding public debt in this nation, 54%, John, rolls over. We are in a dangerous, dangerous situation in terms of our borrowing in this country. And Scott Besson knows he needs to right-size that.
Yeah, absolutely. Send Janet Yellen and Allied Paul Krugman off somewhere into the Titanic. Hey, let's move on to this. Joe Biden spent his farewell address warning about Trump. What is with this guy? Just listen.
We need to amend the Constitution to make clear that no president is immune from crimes that he or she commits while in office. The president's power is not limited. It's not absolute, and it shouldn't be.
Oh, my God. Now, if you want to see resistance, look
get somebody's reaction to that.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. I'm just blown away by Joe Biden. I guess he threw me off my game, which is rare these days. All right, Jason, Dark MAGA. Remember that one? The dark, eerie speech. This was 17 minutes of that. The list of lies, right?
Right.
So what were the list of lies or one of the lists that stuck out to you last night?
Well, you didn't play my favorite part. The favorite part was when Joe Biden at the end said, in conclusion. I mean, it just couldn't end soon enough. He's been gaslighting and trying to rewrite history for the last week or two. It's delusional where he's come from. He failed to mention some of the most salient things and the most important things like, inflation that he caused. And for his comments that he made about absolute power of the presidency, Donald Trump's never claimed that. Nobody's ever claimed that. The Supreme Court ruling doesn't say that. I think it's absolutely delusional. The January 20th cannot come soon enough. But I think people stopped listening to Joe Biden long ago. And that's why he's going to go down in history as one of the worst presidents in the history of our country.
Yeah, dang it, I just wanted to move on.
Yeah, John, my favorite quote was, "The truth is smothered by lies, told for power and for profit." He summed up his own presidency and didn't know it.
Look, if Joe Biden really thinks presidents should be totally immune from criminal prosecutions from things they did while president, he could sign a waiver today saying that I hereby waive my presidential immunity and open myself up to prosecution in the future. I think Joe Biden will not do that because he is going to need that immunity once he is no longer president.
Boom. Now, if you want to see resistance, look no further than government workers fighting tooth and nail to avoid going into the office. The House Oversight Committee looked at the federal workforce's remote work habits, and this is just a little snippet of what they found.
Mr. Chairman, this is Social Security for 1 hour, 28 minutes. 25 seconds. This is what our elders have to listen to. These are our elders, my man.
John Carney, so Scott Besson actually brought this up in his confirmation hearing. He said December 8th, there was a hack by Chinese entities into the Treasury that was very serious, and it was done through a work from home app. That's why when I'm in Washington, I'm going to be in the office, and everybody should be in the office.
That's right. Look, the taxpayers are paying everybody in Washington, D.C.'s salary. The least they can do is actually show up to the office. There's a lot of, if you walk around these D.C. office buildings, there's a lot of empty office space because nobody shows up to work anymore. It was bad actually before the pandemic hit. Unlike the rest of us who have basically been called back to the office at least a few days a week, a lot of federal workers never come in at all for weeks at a time, yet they still have office space. This is a scandal. Either we need to sell off those buildings to the private sector or do it for very sensitive positions like what Scott Besson is saying in the U.S. Treasury. We should not have people logging in remotely. They absolutely need to be in the federal office buildings in secure places so that this can't happen.
There you have it, Jason. Did you go to work when you were there? I bet you did, and did it every day. These workers, I mean, who doesn't want a sweetheart deal where you get to go to work 4 days a week for 8 hours? We don't even do that here.
Well, look, when I was in Congress, I was one of those guys that actually slept in their office. So, yeah, I mean, they were complaining that I was there too much. The Democrats actually had a little bit of a fit about it. And so, yeah, I mean, look, it's something like 6% of federal workers in the D.C. area are actually physically going into the office. Look, I'm just glad that Chairman James Comer has made this a priority. I thought Clay Higgins did a masterful job of calling it to that line and showing that even after an hour and a half, they were still on hold. And the American people know the government's not working for them. There are too many federal workers being paid too much. You got to starve the beast, cut the workforce, do the essential services. That's what America asked for, and I think that's what Donald Trump will deliver over the next 4 years.
And also on the Hill, congressional progressive staffers, no surprise there, making this big push for the 32-hour week. Bernie Sanders, my favorite communist, that's a joke, told our very own Hillary Vaughn this when she asked him about it moments ago.
I think that at a time when we're seeing massive income and wealth inequality, people on top are doing phenomenally well, when we're seeing huge advances in artificial intelligence and technology, and at a time when 60% of our people are living paycheck to paycheck, I want to see those advances in technology that make you a more productive worker benefit you and not just billionaires. And one way we can do that is move to a 32-hour work week without loss of pay. Thank you very much.
How would businesses afford that? Would they hire someone to work the extra day?
Hey, Jason, did you ever get an accurate count of how many millionaires and billionaires are in those halls of Congress, either house?
Well, they're going to have to correct me if I'm wrong, but somehow Bernie Sanders figured out how to become a millionaire while he's serving in the government, in the Congress. You know, a lot of people don't understand that, but to say that you're only going to work 4 days a week as opposed to 5 days a week, and that's going to make America more prosperous and more, I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. This is an entrepreneur. They think that government creates jobs. It doesn't. The private sector creates jobs, innovation, liberty, freedom. Those are the types of things that grow the economy, not government.
They want people suckling at the teat of government, John Carney. They want the private sector as we know it to fail because they ultimately do want something that harkens back to socialism or communism.
Yeah, look, first of all, I just want to correct Bernie Sanders. It is frankly not true. It's a lie we hear all the time. It's not true that 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. That would be a scandal if it were true. First of all, it would be an indictment of the Biden administration because they've been president, in office for 4 years, and Democrats have been running Congress. It's not true. That's just a fake statistic that gets repeated over and over again. But I also think it's insulting for these congressional staffers to say they should work 32 hours a week while hardworking Americans all over the country are working more than 40 hours a week. This is ridiculous that they would ask for the 32-hour week. I say, look, if they can balance the budget of the federal government, I will give them the 32-hour work week. Until then, they better show up every single day.
As my father would say, you'll get nothing and like it. Oh, no, that was Judge Schmales in Caddyshack. But that's what's going to happen.
Even better.
Yep.
But even better, why don't they show up 0 days?
Yeah,
why don't we just trim the staff?
Right. That was
cut out their job.
You're going to get nothing and like it, meaning no JOB.
Right. If you can get your job done in just 32 hours a week, then, you or some of your colleagues can probably be dismissed because you weren't doing very much to begin with.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jason Chaffetz, John Carney, love you both. Thank you, sirs.